online. He may join us, but he's attending water conference for the Weber Basin Water, and so we excuse him. Thank you, Commissioner. So we're glad you all are here. The first item today is to approve the minutes from the meeting held on March the 9th. I'll entertain a motion or correction.
Motion approved.
Second, I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, those minutes are now approved. Christie, if you'll record that, thank you. Our item for 1:30 is a discussion regarding opioid recommendations. We have with us today Linnell Jensen, Jamie Heiner, Julie Johnson, Brooke Stewart, Jessica Clark, Chris Crockett, Shelley Hallisey, and Ashley Toman. Linnell, you are listed first, and then as much as you have the keyboard and the mouse, why don't you go ahead and, for those who are online, will be able to see the
Okay.
screen that Linnell has up there.
Well, we just wanted to get together and give you an update as to what all the applications are that we got for the opioid settlement funds. We're glad to have Ashley here, and hopefully he's okay with spending your time, because we'll probably put you in towards the end.
Okay,
If that's okay. Okay, so I thought the first thing that we would do is just review what the financing is that we have. We went through this a couple months ago, but just to kind of put it in your brain again. So these are all the projection revenues that we're expected to get. We have received the 22 through 25 funds. So far you have approved 2,001,054 projects, and that's what these are right here. So you've approved the public defender at 3 years at $142,000 a year. The Weber Human Services MAT employee. Well, actually, this is just a one-time $40,000 match that happened like 2 years ago. I wasn't involved with it, so I really can't tell you much about it other than we had to match it, and we did. So 40,000 went to it. And
So
then,
is that a grant that they received?
yeah, it was money, like I say, 2 or 3 years ago it got approved, and I don't know the
Yeah.
details as to what it is, but they needed a match from the state or
Right.
something. And then they've requested, and we approved the $1,050,000 towards adding onto their building to have a training building. I did talk to Kevin Eastman, and he said that they're moving right along. They've got the approvals from the city. They've got some bids in, and they think that that amount will cover what they needed. We were worried that that amount, because they kind of threw it out there not knowing what it would cost, but he said what they're getting, what information they're getting, it looks like that will cover it. So they're going to be starting that pretty soon and requesting some reimbursement. They also requested a MAD employee for that, and he was unsure if we had already started on that. And I said, well, we haven't gotten any requests for reimbursement on it. So I thought it probably went with your training building. So he was gonna check with that, with Steph on that too. So they were approved to get that employee for 3 years at the 153,000, which was salary, benefits and everything. Then the health department was also approved for the 1 year, and we were looking at that a year by year. So they're going to have a request for 2026, but they were approved for 2025. They were approved 178,000. They actually have only used 117,000 of that. They still have another 60,000 that they haven't spent. And I don't know, my thoughts, and I talked to Stephanie Ebert. I mean, we can carry that forward if you guys are okay with it.
Do we want to do that?
No,
I don't think so either.
So this was our reasoning. We were thinking, we hate to have somebody go out and just spend money to get it used if they didn't have a good reason to use it.
no, I'm a no on that.
No, I agree, Linnell. We don't want them to do that either.
Okay,
This is one that,
So, hey, Linnell, this is Gage, a question for you.
okay.
I don't remember funding that employee to 100, was that part of the building contract or?
Yeah, that was part of that building request. They really were looking at like 500,000 a year, which was the training building and the employees. So if you add those two together, it's the 1,500, the 1.5 million, I mean, 1.5 million between these two. So that was part of their ask when John Bond was here and it was approved. That was
Okay.
part of.
But those are one-time funds. I want to be clear on that. And they're gonna need to, if they do anything with an employee, they're gonna need to find the revenue for an ongoing situation. Our,
Or reapply.
or reapply.
Okay. So they have not tapped into that 460 yet. This may be the first year, but maybe they'll wait. He wasn't sure on it when I talked to him, so they may wait till that building is going. So we'll have to fix that, but if we were just to say what we've done so far, it's at 2.154, and then that leaves that 6 million that we have in the bank that hasn't been spent yet. And that's where, if we come back to this schedule, here's where the scheduled revenues are. Last time we talked, you guys talked about if we were to give the sheriff, because you've agreed that 10 million will go to the medical wing. 6 million can be what we have in the bank right now. We can put that towards that medical wing. And then the rest of it, if we split it over the rest of the time, would be $306,000 a year that we would just expense and put into the sheriff's account. He may spend it before we get all the way there. It may turn into a loan and then us paying ourselves back. And then as far as the grants, you guys mentioned that maybe it would make more sense to equal it instead of going by when the money comes in, since they changed so much, that we would just fund it, even though we're getting this much this year, we would only fund it equally. So that's where we're at as far as money. So that would give us as much as 765,000 to look at in grants. If we want, potentially we could spend up to that much.
Commissioner Farrar?
Yes, Commissioner
Are you
Harvey.
able to see- Are you able to see the screen?
I am.
that-
I'm looking at it as we speak. Yeah.
Just making sure.
Do you
So,
want to go back
Linnell,
to that?
question for you then. If we were to do the 768, does that basically just take us through the year 2038 and then the money's gone, the way I assume it?
That's true. There might be some additional money. This is what we know of right now. But Chris Crockett said that he heard that most of the settlements are now done. So we're not anticipating getting a lot more. We might get a little bit more, and I guess that's just, we can spend that at the end. But yeah, the funding's supposed to be finished in 38.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to where Commissioner Harvey was, with the MAD employee at the end of 3 years, when you say they'll just come and reapply. I struggle with the idea of giving one-time money for ongoing criteria, ongoing salaries. I mean, that's what happened to Davis County, our friends over there, and they ended up doing a 20% tax increase. Not that but I just don't think it's good policy to use one time for ongoing commitments. And by doing that, that's what we've agreed to.
And that's what you're gonna see in today's presentation, that
Right.
I would say most of these are nonprofits that have ongoing costs. And Julie could probably speak to this, that's how nonprofits work, that they're looking for money wherever they can get it, and they're constantly having to get money to fund ongoing costs. So I
Right.
agree with you. That was for sure the way we looked at ARPA. I'm not sure that we can completely do that with this one. There weren't a lot of one-time requests in these applications. They're mostly funding their programs. So they're ongoing programs. So,
And with ramp, we fund same projects year over year over year.
but you're right, come 2038, there's gonna be, the funding will stop, and whoever's thinking they're getting money every year, they're not going to get it anymore.
Right.
So that's something to keep in mind as you're approving. Do you see this as something that you want to see going on? Not that you have to, but potentially might see it going on,
There's also.
Well, I guess what I would like to see, not everything they do at the state's a great idea, but some of the things they do down there are okay. You can check with Commissioner Harvey on that. But I just get concerned that we, do these programs without some type of verification that they have the ability after 3 years or 5 years to carry on the program. If these programs are going to work, I don't think, again, that it's a great idea to fund these programs and have them evaporate. let's come up with programs that are self-sustaining, or that they can show us that they have the resources to carry them past that 3 or 5 year. But again, I may be the hard Eddie, but again, these aren't going to be short-term solutions for 3 years for long-term problems. Anyway.
Yeah, no, I agree. Okay, let's kind of jump into telling you what people have asked for. We're gonna start out with the Public Defenders Group, and you're well aware of that because you funded that one for 3 years. This is the Daniel Lancaster position that now is Catherine McGee.
Are these ranked in order?
They are ranked in order. We as a committee ranked this one high. Just to give you background, you know, we waited to meet because we were waiting for the legislature to end and decide what appropriations they would make. And
Yeah.
they approved getting the reentry program. I thought that we were doing this public defender with it, but apparently we were not. When they put their request in, this was the match for that sheriff's reentry program, was the public defender, I guess, funding of that Catherine McGee position. So this one, and you know, Jim Metallic is really worried about this one. It ends the end of this month. The funding ends. They were approved through the end of this quarter, which is the end of this month. So they are asking for about 157,000 a year to fund that one position. Plus, they said it will increase every year depending on, you know, bonuses or whatever cost of living increases the HR and you all approve. So this one is on there. We ranked it high. You guys probably know the program better than any of us even. So do you have any questions on that one?
Just a comment. We were all under the impression, I'm speaking for all of us now.
Thank you.
We were under the impression that
It
this
was
was
funded.
the ask from the legislature.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think any of
disappointed in
us were involved with writing the
no,
request. None of us were and didn't realize till it came out that, I mean, it kind of surprised us all. But if that's the only ask, I mean, and you've seen that, I don't know if you've
Mhm.
seen that. But yeah, so we did feel like, at least from our perspective, you guys may know different. Daniel did a pretty good job with that public defenders, you know, and working with the jail. So that was one that we ranked high. You can decide, you know, where it is on your list. But that's the first one. The next one, and then so we split these up. Everybody, some of these applications were literally 20 pages long with a lot of words on them, and you would read through them and go, what in the heck did I just read? So
Thank
we had to, well, no, everyone. So we ended up splitting them up, and yeah, everybody split them up and everyone will kind of take their turn trying to recap it for you best as we can. We probably won't read the whole slide. We're giving you a copy of it so you can go back and look at it if you want more detail. But so let's see, we've got Julie telling about this one.
Yeah, so just to give you an overview, this is addressed to help decrease repeat arrests, probation violations, and eventual felony convictions. One thing they bring out in this application is a lot of the probation fees and court fees are covered from an individual that has, let me find where the wording is so that I'm telling it to you correctly. I should have highlighted that. These ones are not covered for misdemeanors, but they are covered otherwise. And so what it does is ends up keeping a lot of eligible individuals who could be successful when they have the support to get through the court system and have these fees paid for, that they don't have access to this support because of the fees are out of reach. So they focus on being able to treat between 30 to 35 individuals with these funds. The budget breaks it down to where they are covering 2 part-time positions, a part-time program coordinator and a part-time judge. And then the rest is some staff training and then supplies, some funds going to the fees themselves, a laptop, drug test kits, that type of thing. So we ranked it high because we feel like it allows individuals opportunity to have the support that they need when the barrier is just the funding, if they don't have access to funds to be able to get themselves through these services.
So I did talk to this Joan Daly, and she said this used to be a program that Riverdale City did. They had this drug court, and then when they got the new mayor, he decided he didn't want it in his budget anymore. So they have not been funded. They're hoping to get the funding through us. Right now, I know in their application, they have the judge as donating his time, the program coordinator donating her time too. This is the actual budget of what they're wanting. So it's basically paying for this whole thing for their program to keep it going.
If they're donating their time, why is there a budget line item for
It,
that?
it has been donating their
Okay,
time.
so it has not discontinued.
Mm-mm. So some of these guys, they have donated their time, but you know, they're feeling like they should be paid. I don't know if they will continue to donate their time. If they've decided I've donated enough, I'm not willing to donate more. Or
Who's
what.
running it now, Ben, currently?
So I don't know that a city is necessarily. Joan Daly, do you know her by chance? I don't know her either, but she's called a lot, wondering where things are, and I wish Chris were here, cause I felt like Chris Crockett felt like this was a good program. He thought drug courts
I
were.
can speak to this, unfortunately, a little too personally. This is a wonderful program, but I wanted to know who was doing it now for pro bono, or who was leading out or carrying it. With regards to the program itself, it's a phenomenal program.
Literally saves lives.
It literally saves lives.
We all felt the same way when we read through that and felt like it was pretty low amount of a request for the difference it will make in those individuals that they're supporting.
But it is nearly 100,000 a year. 94,000 is what the total budget ask on that is to fund that drug court. Let's see. So I guess our question was, does this include Davis County? Because it said Weber Davis Misdemeanor Substance Abuse Court. So my thinking was, if this is also working in Davis County, can we get some opioid funds from them? Can they pay for half of it and we pay for half of
That
it?
was my
Or,
first thought when I saw that, but is it just,
so that we'd probably have to reach out to her and find out if
I'd like to know that.
what the percentage is, and maybe, I don't know if they track that or not, but could they?
Just participatory. Yeah, participation.
Like how many years? So I can reach out to her.
Great program, although it's wonderful.
So that, we ranked that one high for those reasons. We'd heard very positive about that. Okay, so the next one is School of Addiction, so SOAR. And that one
That's mine.
Jessica's got.
Yours.
Yeah. Okay. So this initiative provides full program scholarships for uninsured or low-income adults seeking treatment through SOAR's 90-day IOP program. The project addresses substance misuse by combining therapeutic fitness, evidence-based group work, individual counseling, peer support, and a structured recovery community. And this is an expansion of their current program. So one of the reasons why we rank this high is because it's evidence-based. They have a lot of partners, and it's relatively a low ask. It's $15,000. So it would give essentially scholarships to 5 individuals who are low income so that they could participate in this program. Any questions?
No. Commissioner Bolos.
No, I don't have any. I really like that it's has a history that we can look at.
Commissioner Farrar.
Yeah, so what program is it? I guess I missed what program it is.
SOAR, School of Addiction Recovery.
Oh, okay. And who provides that program?
The executive director is Frank Jameson. They're on grant and maybe 29, somewhere in there.
Is it, so it's a nonprofit then?
Like when I switched
Yes.
between.
Okay. I've heard of it, I just,
Group also, it's a phenomenal group and they do.
Yeah.
They do
Yeah.
incredible things. What they
I've heard
do,
good
Dave,
things about
is
that, yeah.
They replace addiction, they replace substance addiction with physical fitness addiction. And it's been incredibly successful. Their markers are really, really good. So basically they substitute drugs with exercise and get people addicted to exercise, and it's been great. I've, again, got some personal family history with this group. But it's started by Dustin Hawkins. You may know that name, and certainly your kids would. It's a great one. This ask is so low, it's an easy one for me to.
Yeah, I like that.
We were wishing they would have asked for more because they do have such a successful program.
And they may come back and ask for additional years. They just asked for the 1 year. And they may come back and ask for future.
They do a lot of community stuff too, and they give back. This is a fantastic model. I'd love to see perpetuated. Okay, let's keep going.
Okay,
Commissioner Frower, sorry, can I ask, can you see the slides or are you still on the budget sheet?
I can see the slide. What does it say to me?
I
Sheriff's
sent you
Office,
the
I can,
budget sheet too, Gage.
Okay, I just want to
Sheriff's-
make sure screen
Yep.
switched for when they switched over to the slides.
I'm
I
there.
sent that sheet to you on a text.
Yep, I got her. Thank you.
Yeah,
okay, so the next one is the second one of the sheriff. So the first one, that reentry, then Laura Andelin actually emailed a few of us and said, pull that application. 'Cause that's the one that got funded by the legislature.
so that's pulled.
This one's not. This one's not pulled, but another one is.
They had
This is
two.
they had two. This is their second one. So Shelley, have you got that one? Or Jamie
I have
does.
that,
Jamie
yeah.
has it, sorry.
Yeah, so jump in for those that know better than, but from my understanding that this is in addition to the reentry, like it complements the reentry program. This is an expansion program. It serves those individuals that are currently in custody, the individuals with opioid and behavioral health needs, giving them daily therapeutic kind of community-driven activities to help with discharge planning and whatnot. It is a 3-year project, and they are looking to hire 6 staff members, 2 clinical therapists, 2 case managers, and then 2 peer support support employees. It is expensive, but again, I from what I understand, it complements the reentry program. So I don't know if it's if and or together. I don't know if that's a thing, but it is. They're asking for $578,000 a year.
Mr. Bolos, this is in your portfolio. Do you know any more about this? Or
I think this replaces the RISE program that was discontinued because the grant funding ended in November, I believe. So they renamed it, because they're not sure if they would call it the same thing, but,
Okay.
it's something that they've had in the past.
So this is 6 employees, and again, to Commissioner Frower's point, this is 6 employees, you know, that would be hard to just end each year. Or go 2 years and then all of a sudden you're firing 6 people because there's no funding for it. And it is very expensive. Our question was, because out of the 730,000, this one would be a almost $580,000 ask, and you know that's gonna go up every year with salaries and stuff. So we even wondered, would they consider partial funding? Like would it be a consideration to fund 3 employees rather than 6 or whatever, you know, they were 2 of each type of like 2 clinical therapists, 2 reentry case managers, 2 forensic peer support. And I didn't know if that forensic, because in that allocation from the legislature, I wondered if some of that money was forensic, if that was going out to the jail. It didn't say if it was going to public defenders or all to the jail. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's all to the public defenders.
Is it? There was
You know what? I got my
250,000.
notes on this.
Yeah.
Several phone calls last week, trying to understand their asks, so.
we're taking just a short break while Commissioner Bolos gets her notes.
Okay. Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a comment on this program if I could.
I'd love for you to make a comment on the program.
Thanks. So, as you well know, I've been working with former Representative Hutchings and current Representative Eliason about what they've been doing in Salt Lake with their reentry program. I think I sent you an email this morning that we're looking for a meeting with Representative Elias, and he has contacts with the Huntsman family who have supported the reentry program. I don't know how many millions, but a lot of money in Salt Lake County, Salt Lake City. So we're looking to establish that meeting probably in the next week or so. This looks like it goes hand in glove with what they're doing with what the Huntsmans are doing with Salt Lake. I think we need to have that discussion before we make any commitments here. I don't want to slow cook, but this is exactly the program that the Huntsmans like to get involved with.
Thank you. Thank you. Commissioner Bolos, those notes yield anything
Yeah.
for you?
It doesn't look like they're connected with the public defenders. So
So-
this is all
Jill,
separate. Mhm.
It's all jail, so it is separate.
And the goal of this program, I think, is to get the inmates ready for when they're released, because there's that period of time, but when they come out, that they don't have services and things like that, and this prepares them for that period of time.
Sure.
Closes that gap.
so, I mean, what was appropriated from the legislature was 295,000 for forensic social work clinicians. So I didn't know if in any of those, that money would go towards these. I don't know what the 295,000, if you're thinking it's sheriff.
Do you know anything about that, Commissioner Faur, the 295 from the state senate or from the?
Well, I know that, I think Stephanie had the details on that. I believe most of that went to public defenders now.
Is that what you were thinking? I thought you said the sheriff. You think most of it went to public defenders?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Sorry, I meant that this did not go to the public defenders, this ask.
Oh,
That's not related.
okay.
Yeah, so if you're asking could we use that funds for this? No, I don't think we can.
Okay. Well, okay, so we'll just keep that in mind. If you guys want to wait and check and see, we can check on Huntsman. I don't know if that would be you, Commissioner Frower, or who you want to check with them, but yeah, if we can get it funded from a different source, that'd be great.
We're planning
Yeah,
on
we're
doing
just looking to go down and meet with Representative Eliason, and then he'll get us in contact. Well, I know that Representative Hutchings is very sold on working with Weber County and moving our reentry program farther, into the future. That's what we need.
Okay. All right, well, our next one is the YCC. We ranked it medium to high. They did talk about that they have a no tolerance really for abuse. They did lose somebody that I guess was there in 2024. They had a death in their facility. And so some of their ask was to get a cabinet that can store on each level of their housing, that can store the naloxone and get some of that. And then train their staff to know how to handle and see the signs of opioid abuse. They want to do some training, but it sounds like they kind of hand them off to, other facilities that deal more with it. They don't do the training right there. So some of their asks, they do have like a domestic violence program supervisor for 25% of their salary. And I can pull, do you want to see the budgets? Do you want me to pull budgets up? Or not really? I mean, I've got.
I don't need to see them.
Okay,
Unless you want to have them, Gage, if you're wanting to see them, but just trying to take care of you here.
No, I'm good, thanks. No.
There are parts of this that I feel like aren't directly opioid related though, so again, I feel like it would be maybe a partial funding. If you took out the pieces that aren't.
so out of their ask, they've got about 30,000 in salaries. 25% for one employee, 15% for another, and 10% for another. So out of their $65,000 ask, 30,000 of that is for employees' salaries. Then they were asking for iPads that they could do virtual training with some of them there. The cabinets, the 3 cabinets, and then addiction recovery and skill books. So kind of training things, certification for their staff, that's at $800 a piece. And then they hand off to like the women's retreat house and childcare and just financial support is the stuff they're asking for. So I did think a lot of that was their regular program. But maybe we would consider, like Shelley said, partial funding for the cabinets and maybe naloxone. I think those are good things to, supply them with.
Yeah, the whole supplies stuff that I think works.
So that's it. on
What's the
that one.
total on that, Shelley, the cabinets and the naloxone?
About a little over 10,000.
Well, 1,000 is the cabinets.
Yeah, the cabinets are 1,000, and then
They didn't really ask for naloxone, did they? Just to store the naloxone.
there's skill books and journals and workbooks, but those are not very much. Yeah, I don't see no locks on.
So I think they might have access to that with some other program.
There's one other thing on here that's interesting that I think we would have liked to have seen from Women's Retreat House's application, and they'll talk about that later, but they also have $120 per week for sponsorships for the individuals to go to Weaver or to go to Women's Retreat House. It's $120 a week for them to stay there, and so they've got 20 listed, 20 weeks worth listed in sponsorships for the women to be able to go over to Women's Retreat House in this budget.
I've been up to that place. Yeah.
Okay, so while we're going through this, do you want me to put any notes on the side of these request amounts? Like if you're thinking about maybe funding them, let me see, I think I've got it on
It might be good to just have something in there that shows what we did talk about if we come back to it.
there. I brought the wrong one. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna
The
have to write
slides
it
do
down.
say how they were ranked, though.
Yeah,
Other
they
than the
do,
slides.
they do, but I was just thinking if you want to come back and say, yeah, we kind of like that one or we didn't. So we can write that down. Okay, so our next one is the Ogden City School District.
That one's.
So we never did get an application from Weaver School District, but we did get one from the Ogden City School District.
I have to find it, it's in my stuff. Okay, their budget wasn't the greatest, but, the Ogden School District is putting, together a program called Prevention First. It aims to address the growing concern of youth substance misuse by hiring dedicated social work professionals focused on prevention, education, and early intervention. This will work in Ogden High and then Lowman High. The prevention will include social workers. 1, 2, 3, actually about. It's just 2 social workers, but it's for a 3-year request. The sal is asking for salaries and benefits for the social workers.
They were wanting to put one social worker in each of the high schools. Yeah.
I wish
Then-
it would start in junior high and not high school. That's kind of how I felt about it, but you can see it's ranked medium low.
So the reason why too, these were a couple of comments we had when we talked about it. We were worried that the counselors are focused on opioid. Are they just going to be an additional counselor in the school? And then we'd rather see a class almost taught, funding a class that everybody in a certain grade, like a health class that's kind of taught the risks of opioid use. That was our thoughts on it. So we really want to see it in the schools. I in particular would love to see it in the schools, but this didn't totally come across as the most bang for the buck,
That's
So,
okay.
and it does only address the Ogden School District, nothing in the Weber, which they didn't request anything.
So that's why your recommendation on that one had to do with number 6, a medium to low.
Yeah.
Yeah. We wish that it had been, like, I would love to see somebody in there, their whole job is just to market this opioid thing, just to get it out in every class. it was kind of just hiring a couple of extra counselors.
One for each school,
Yeah, and, you
including
know,
their benefits. I thought it was interesting.
and they were actually low, those salaries were low.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't ask for a lot considering hiring 2 people. So, okay, so the Ogden City Police Department. That one is yours too, Shelley?
Yep, this one's a little bit better in my opinion than the last one. This is enhances opioid prevention and first responder wellness through 2 full-time positions, a drug prevention and education officer and a wellness coordinator. The program expands evidence-based prevention in Ogden schools and throughout the community while providing fentanyl safety training and wellness support for the EMS people. It's an evidence-based program. The things that they're asking for, they are asking for the staff that I've already mentioned. They were asking for a truck. We will tell them no.
70,000 for a new truck.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah,
But a lot of what they've got on here is marketing that's, I feel like would be beneficial. The pens, pencils, highlighters, stickers, bags, event banners, things that would be pushing the no opioid message. Outreach, there would be outreach events that will reinforce opioid prevention messages. Any questions on that one?
So we thought that was kind of expensive. Their ask was pretty high. The one was in the schools, putting someone in the schools, but then putting an employee just as a wellness coordinator for the officers to help them when they deal with,
that,
people.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Any questions?
no.
Okay, any questions, Commissioner Farrar? Then let's keep moving on.
Okay, I think right now would be a good time for Ashley to maybe tell us about something, because like we were talking,
With the
we would
rest, yeah,
love to see something to do with the schools. And Brooke, Ashley kind of mentioned something to Brooke about a program he had participated in, and we were like, man, that sounds like the coolest thing. So there's not an application for it, but we thought it was something that would be worth listening to how it works, and maybe that's something you might want to consider looking at funding.
So this program was based on in Davis, well, all municipalities have a stormwater permit and they are asked to do public outreach and education. In Davis County, our Stormwater Coalition would spend $20,000 a year and send it to Salt Lake County to help them create advertisements and run them on TV, which you may have seen, the Everybody Lives Downstream campaigns.
yeah,
And we were looking at $20,000 a year and wanted to try to change things up, like produce new videos, and we're thinking of kind of a creative way to do that. So we reached out to Davis School District and talked to a person there and about getting into the schools, high schools, middle schools, and working with the students to have them produce a commercial, an advertisement that would talk about the things we were trying to reach out to the community about not polluting and things like that. And so we were lucky. We worked with a person at the school district that was very creative as well and willing to implement. And they reached out to 2 teachers, and that's the first 2 items were 2 teachers that kind of put together the curriculum of this project to have the students create videos. And so they did all the work, most of it. We were just kind of contributing. And then they had awards. Each on this budget, you'll see the teachers that participated were given kind of a supplies stipend to help with, I don't know what they used it for, but maybe it incentivized them to participate. And then we had awards. Our coalition, we wrote a check to the school district. They took care of distributing that to all the other people, even preparing checks for the winners. And then we had our coalition, we got together, looked at all the videos, scored them, and then we came up with our winners. The school district even had an award night. They put together kind of a banquet, and it was great. So we spent $9,000 on this. This was in 2019, so it's been a little while. And then we used $10,000 to show these videos in the theater before, a movie. That was where it would get out to the public. And the advertisement people at the theaters, they were great. They even at our banquet gave out prize packs of free popcorn and tickets and things like that. So it was, in my opinion, it was a great way to engage the youth in this message and have them use their creative skills to do something that would, help them learn as well as help others see this message that we were trying to get out to people. I've talked to a guy who works at Weaver High School, about this idea. Is this something that you could see working? And he thought so. I believe at Weaver High, he says it almost sound like they produce advertisements for companies. That's something they do. I believe they receive money from those entities, and gives the students real hands-on experience kind of producing advertisements and doing the audio visual. Sean Potiker, you know Sean, right? And so he thought, yeah, this didn't sound like something that was too far out there, but I said, we'll explore this if this is the direction we end up going. But it was kind of good to hear that that's a possibility, at least at Weaver High, but probably even beyond. Do you have any questions?
No questions. You have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Gage, you have any questions?
No, none from me. So have they been running that program you said in Davis County, and they have some metrics back that would show that it works? I guess I just would like to see something that they've got a proven track record on.
So unfortunately, we had COVID happen in 2020. And so
I remember that. Yeah.
You may have heard of it. And
I've heard of it. Yeah.
My previous employer down there, so I'm not sure what's happened since I left.
Okay.
But do you remember seeing those commercials, Gage? Though down.
No, I don't
Everybody's
remember.
downstream.
I mean, I think the fact that we can all remember the commercials shows how effective it was.
And I can show you one that was made. I can just show you one real quick. It's just maybe 2 minutes long. If you're interested, just to kind of get a gauge of how that.
This really, it's a public awareness is where you're going with this.
But we're thinking school kids awareness, if you've got the school kids buying in and creating it,
Yeah.
and they're showing these videos in school, whether it's in the morning before they start the Pledge of Allegiance or whatever they do,
And we want it to be in both the school districts,
yeah,
all the high schools, all the junior highs.
and give a scholarship to the kids that win, make it incentive for them to participate.
It's a $9,000 ask, right?
Well,
It probably,
yeah, maybe
Depending on what you want to do.
adjusted to what scale,
Okay.
how many schools want to participate and.
What
and
a
that
good
kind of thing,
scholarship
but-
amount is for kids at the end of the year. When we were at the awards assemblies last year, when my boy was doing scholarships from about 1,000 to 1,500 were a big deal, and everyone was thrilled about them. So depending on how many high schools wanted to participate, how many from each high school the commission wanted to award, you could do any amount, within that range, 500 to 1,500 in scholarships. But the reason this came about is because we were a few meetings in on these applications, and the group just kept talking about how we wish there were some other prevention applications within the schools that we felt would be impactful and be able to be spread wide. And so in a casual conversation I had with Ashley, he had mentioned this program, and I thought, oh my gosh, maybe that would work for opioid. I mean, it'd have to be something that the county decided to do, but for, a minimal amount, the reach could be huge. I mean, these videos that the kids are already creating content and are so good at it already could be shared from, the school district's socials pages, the county social pages, in the theaters, on the news, for commercials or however. So we just thought, we'll have Ashley, come up and kind of talk about the program that they did and see if there was any interest from you all for us to look into structuring something and what that would look like if you all were interested.
I'm gonna speak here up a little. I love the idea of perpetuating with youth. I think can always be good, and if you get ahead of it, but I'd love a little more comment if you, Commissioner Bolos or Commissioner Faur on this.
I think, it's great. I think the engagement with youth is great and, really, the amount of avenues we could show this is really phenomenal. I'm a bit of a rule keeper, so the first question I have for myself is, this isn't an application. We would tell someone else no. But where it's a county, if it was run by the county, which is I think what you're thinking, then I think we could take that detour. I mean,
I think.
we
could
became a
decide to do
services,
that.
asked for more, and we said no, reapply. So
Yeah, but this.
unless it was a county run thing, which is I think what you're saying would be
Yeah.
county run.
Well, and even if it's not considered during this cycle, I think if the commission was interested, we could approach the school districts and ask them and have an application be put in the following year and have it all laid out and ready, to be put in as an application.
I would love for it to be this cycle, because I think it's a great idea.
And I think we get the buy-in from both school districts.
For sure.
And I think they would be thrilled too, to be able to get scholarships for their kids, engage them in this. And when they're engaged in it, they kind of are
Mhm.
learning the lesson of it as well. And they're tapping into the things that they know their peers respond
Mhm.
to. We love the idea. When Brooke mentioned it and Ashley, just hearing about it, we were like, wow,
I really
that's
do like it.
a good bang for your buck on this one, I think. And I think it would definitely be more than 9,000. I don't know what, because didn't you say it cost 10,000 to get it in the theaters? And they might even jump on board and be willing to donate.
That's
If
that
would
another thing
be-
I was wondering, if the theaters would do it. I bet they would. Where the messaging is,
Mhm.
prevention related.
Mm-hmm.
It will be hard to measure the actual impact,
For
I
sure.
think,
Yeah.
but
Mm-hmm.
collectively, we've all had kind of wow factor, like there's something good about this, so I think there will be a net, a positive to the community. But whether you do it now or another time, I certainly think it's worth exploring.
The advertisement people with the theaters, they were talking about geofencing and being able to measure and tell how many people are watching. They could do them through phones, as they're buying their tickets. It was mind blowing what they told us they could do through their app and different things. And those were additional options that we didn't go into. We were just looking at showing them as before the previews. But there is ways to get data on how many eyes are seeing it and things like that. It's great. So, yeah, I guess this is not an.
I don't know.
Application.
I think, yeah, where it's not a formal, I don't know that it's dead, but I think it might be worth some time to put a little more into it and see what you come up with. Yeah.
My point was, if it's our program, then I think it's fair.
Can I
This wasn't a formal
say something
application.
to that?
Yeah.
So did the teachers run it? Because if it's our program, who would be running it?
And I already told Jessica it would be her.
Yeah.
That's why she asked me.
She's feeling like that's a loss.
Yeah, so we
It does fall.
communicated the idea to the district and they, through a guy in the administrative offices, kind of ran it through those teachers who put together the curriculum and kind of the project outline. Yeah, it was really them that kind of ran with everything.
And she could just be a contact.
Okay.
That'd be better.
And then the county would choose the winners, the recipients of the scholarships and
Yeah.
present that, I guess.
You could maybe have it go through the communities that care coalitions, because each high school has one and
Yeah.
they're specifically focused on that prevention
That is
piece.
true.
So, and they already have an in with the schools,
Mhm.
so that might be an easier way than you trying to find a contact at every school.
Yeah, definitely. But like I say, you gotta have the superintendent's buy-in. They've gotta be all in and willing to let their classes, work on this. I think we loved it because we were like, this is at least some prevention in the schools with the youth. And if we can get it marketed out there a lot in the schools, theaters, wherever we can get anyone to donate. Maybe we could even get donations on UTA buses, you know, and have some pictures of things. I mean, I think that marketing piece is a huge piece.
Doesn't hurt to ask. Anything else, Commissioner
No,
Bolos?
no.
Commissioner Faur, anything more on this?
No, I like the idea. I think that we need to get both districts input, you know, without the superintendent's buy-in, I don't think it was gonna go very far, but I think it's worthy of, that discussion.
Okay, great. You've got 12 others that are ranked low.
Yeah,
Gary, how do you want to go about that? We've got about
10 minutes.
10 minutes left.
It's up to you if you want to hear about all the low ones, or you can review the low slides.
We can just.
Let's
we
do
got the
that.
Slides.
Yeah, we've got the slides here, and so can we ask that you provide one more packet so that Commissioner Faur has one as well?
And they just wrote on the back of it, but yep.
That'd be great.
For him.
Good slide.
And then here's that.
That's perfect.
So, we'll ask
Does he need a
about,
stormwater connection?
so what do you want to do? I mean, we didn't go through the low ones. We can explain any of them if you want to look at them and say, if there's any of them that interest you and you want to know, we can tell you really quick. Just looking at this list, the Women's Retreat House, that was a one-time ask. They were asking for about $1 million to help build their facility. Some of our group felt like that they deal more with alcohol abuse rather than opioid
Is the
abuse.
Women's Retreat House the one that's out in Pleasant View?
No,
Isn't it?
Yes.
there is.
Oh,
one
is it?
other.
They might have moved, they were up in the old St. Joseph.
They're on
building.
26,
Their
not
address is
2700.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
340 West, 2550
We were
North
there.
in Pleasant View.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
there.
Uh-huh.
They've maybe moved. They
So-
were one of the local nonprofits that the commission did a golf tournament
Yeah.
for in one of the years when they were up at St. Joe's.
And that Kathy Critchlow has emailed me quite a bit on this. They need the funding for it. They've got she says they've got some builders and they've got some different groups on board to help build the facility and get it done. I mean, we don't know if they're for sure able to, if they have the bandwidth to see it through, or, you know, we don't know enough about them, but that is a one-time ask. I mean,
This is why we got that invitation.
Some
Maybe.
She
critical,
talked to us about that. She just showed me the space, the lot next to their building.
is where they're building it. Oh.
But you know, where it's more alcohol addiction.
I don't know. I'm not familiar enough,
It
but
is.
is
they
it?
didn't
is.
speak to it clearly to be separated, you know, focused on the opioid in their application. And some points of consideration, they didn't have listed any other partners contributing to funding. So that was kind of a flag for us if this was the only ask. It also felt truly, if this is the only ask, that their numbers were pretty low to build a building for the amount that they were asking. What they have broken down for the budget, flip to that page real quick. They have a total of $755,000 for the building itself, $120,000 for the engineering, and then $70,000 for the architecture, totaling the amount that they are asking for. So no matching funds coming into that.
I think it's a little, on that one, I think, while it's a good cause, I think it's a little premature. It's
That's
not,
kind of how I feel.
Yeah, I think we were liking the idea, like with SOAR doing the sponsorships into their program. And where YCC mentioned the $120 a week in its sponsorships, I think then we could know which ones were going in and if it were opioid related and pay for that. And maybe that would be better suited for this program instead of a capital project.
sure.
I agree, because then the sponsorship can go to someone that's opioid.
Specific to that
Yes.
need, yeah.
I agree.
One more that we need to mention is the health department. So they
Please.
did get the funding last year, and Bryce did send me a list of what they accomplished with that funding.
Do you have one of those for us?
So here's a copy for each of you to read and see. We didn't give him a template. He just went through and wrote down what they had accomplished. And I have to say, he's invited me to listen to some of these. I've listened to a couple of the Zoom. So he's over, they call it the super group, which I mean is an acronym for something, substance abuse, you know, something. But they have people, they have about 15 people on their committee that are all related. They're in the school districts, they're at the hospital, they're physicians, they're from community all over that's dealing with this. Those are the people that they've been taking to their trainings. And, you know, I have to say, when I started looking at it, I thought he probably is in a position to make an impact by getting all that group together all the time. He is asking still for the funding for the trainings that you guys were kind of worried about, and there is the health department, like health division director, here's the budget. I only made one copy of that. But if you want to look at that budget and see, it's very similar to the one this year. I think one thing that I wish we could see them take on are those physicians, and I told them that in a meeting. I said, you know, the physicians are prescribing whether you want it or not. My husband had a surgery. I had to go pick up the prescriptions and there's opioids. We didn't even ask for it. And he says, I don't want that. I just want to try the, you know, ibuprofen or whatever. And so it's just automatically being prescribed. And so I'd like to see them
Even to
try to do.
my daughter worked as a nurse and she was working and one of the doctors prescribed, he had a sprained wrist and he said, he gave her an opioid. And when she walked out, my daughter said, he just needs Tylenol, you don't need to give him the opioid, but they're prescribing him.
Yeah, so
Wow.
you know, we didn't get him approved until August. They did go back and fund for at least all the trainings that happened in the spring, and that's where that 117,000, some of the personnel costs in it.
There's a lot of travel costs here too.
But there's
That's
also
those trainings.
all
Yeah.
the personnel costs are supplanting funds, right? There aren't, it's just,
You can see on the personnel, it might be 25% of one, 10% of another. I can't remember on that particular one.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I don't know, that just gets really convoluted for me because
Do you want to keep this one and I can
Let's
send
flip
it
over
to
to-
you?
Yeah.
only because those employees have a job to do. And then if they're getting funds from us with a promise to shift that many hours over to opioid focused work, what's happening to the other responsibilities that they're not doing? Like, I just have a hard time matching that all up in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's my struggle with that.
I'm with you there. Any other comments, Commissioner Faur?
No, I would just like to see this, you know, if you can get me the sheets, we can go through these and I'd have a little time to review them. I might have questions after that, if that's okay.
They'll be on your desk.
So you
Thank
want to
you.
meet again at some point, so we know what you want us to do with these recommendations, or
What's your suggestion?
I don't know if we need to meet with the whole board. I think the three of us need to talk about it, obviously, but.
and then.
Yeah,
just let-
And then,
Yeah, Harv, I think that probably the three of us ought to sit down and just narrow it down a little bit. I think we know kind of what the recommendations make a lot of sense. There's some good programs out there. I think we just didn't drill down on them and really I think we need to come up with a plan in terms of the best use of those dollars. In
Then
terms
that's
of
what we'll do.
going forward, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. All right, let's that's the same thing, please.
thank you all. I know these applications were lengthy. It was a lot of work, so thank you. I really appreciate it.
Well, if you want any copies of budgets from any of them, we've got them all saved. So you can, sometimes we decided the budgets were kind of
Better than.
nice to see, because you
Helpful.
get through that application and it's just so wordy, but you look at the budget and really see what their ask is.
Yeah.
You know,
Can I
Yes,
get the
sir.
budgets for the top 5?
yeah.
You guys have made a positive difference. Thank you so much for your time in doing this.
Yeah,
All right,
appreciate
if
all
there's
your
nothing
guys'
else,
work on that.
We'll get that put together and we'll appreciate that. So, thank you. I can tell you, Commissioner Faur, Commissioner Bolos, that they were successful moving the 315 up to 230. So we'll go ahead and make the move. Thank you.
Perfect.
You want that? For the other one. Oh, we don't want that.
Thanks, Julie.
It's good to see you both. Yeah, that's a lot of work.
It's a ton of work.
Well, we thought we would simplify. this.
Hello.
Perfect.
You know, so appreciate it.
By the way, I'm glad you weren't available to drop that puck on Saturday.
How was it for you?
Really great.
Oh, it's coming in.
House.
Jessica, tomorrow,
Oh,
I'm sending you some photos from the puck drop from the Mustangs that you can send out.
I've got one from a long ways away. You can't tell it's really Commissioner Bolos. It's a group of people on the ice.
She did a great job.
How good is that video board though?
Whoa.
Good, Jessica. How are you?
It's a lot of papers being passed out, Gage. They'll be in your stack.
Who we meeting with here, Harv?
Well, we've got, it's on 3:15 on our agenda today. Item number 5, it's a discussion regarding the Discovery Center contract renewal, or the,
Oh.
you might have seen that. It's a little place up there, the Weber,
Environmental Center.
Environmental Center.
I think I remember that in my old days. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
You probably attended when you were a kid, didn't you?
Well, I was pretty close to that, but back then they only just had fire pits. They didn't have any walls or anything. So they made us do in sleeping bags.
Well, what a wonderful experience. I remember going up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we've got, for that, we've got, Brad Cragen. I don't see Brad here.
Brad's daughter, who had a kidney transplant, has some weird numbers spiking, so they're down at Children's Primary getting some stuff done. So
Good.
he's excused.
So we've got Todd, Marty here, and Liam Keogh. So we'll go with that.
Quite a
Go
room.
ahead.
Okay.
Todd, I know you've been doing a lot of work on this.
This is a contract from 1977, so very recent. And what this comes up for renewal in 2027. And really what we would like to do is just kind of go through the limited stuff it lists, and before Liam jumps into sending them an updated version and the lawyers from both sides start looking at it, we just wanted to make you aware of what it was, see if there was anything different that you would like either added, subtracted, so on, and then we can take it from there. And obviously it would come back to you in its final stages.
And the other thing is, this agreement expires next year and there's no obligation to renew it either.
Yep.
Obviously, that's an expected thing on behalf of the school district, is that there is a renewal, but 50-year agreement expires and it is dead.
will it look like this?
3 pages would be
On a
great.
on a typewriter?
Yeah.
Probably even photocopy.
Yeah, it looks like it's out of parchment
Important
paper
to
and
know.
a book, a ditto machine.
Like when Commissioner Furrow was there is a building there now, so that's good to note.
There's multiple buildings.
Gage probably got some funding for it somehow, some way, so.
It wouldn't
So
surprise
there
me.
are a couple things I want to bring to your attention throughout this document. If you go to the second paragraph, it talks about water. The last page connected is a bill for water share for up there that we do not use. We believe and we need to do some homework, but prior to this being done, we will find out if that's what their well is tapped into. I did see an old invoice from them for water one time. So if you read this, they dug a well and it talks about them using it. Any excess would come back to us, but it's not very clear, or it's not clear at all, what water share did they tap into to have water. I have a feeling it's one of ours, and we have very few. But if that is true, we need to get that clarified, because that 763.43 should be coming to us every year. We will clarify that point before we get to any final draft. I tried to dig up anything old I could find, and there's just a random invoice floating out there from the late 70s. So that's one piece on here. If you go to what I believe is page number 2, starts with the lease of land. Halfway down, it says, it is agreed that control committee shall be established. And it kind of reads who will be on that control committee. That does not exist. Hasn't for at least a few decades. Ogden City is not a participant in this anymore. This also names Weber State. This is really Weber School District and us. So I think unless somebody brings something else up, we'll probably carve it down to just the two of us and exclude them. They have historically been very good if there's anything that feels like an encroachment or anything else into the park. It sits on North Fork Park property.
So really, it mentions the Forest Service. We don't really
Yes.
need them in there either.
Well, they do border the Forest Service. I'm sure that's why it was originally put in, but for our piece of this, there's not really a need. And I'll give you an example. They did a very short informational loop that they've been working on over the last year and a half. It's an interpretive trail that talks about the wildlife and the plants and vegetation that they will find in that area. It goes from, quote, their piece that's carved out into the little corner and then back over. We all walked it with them. Nowhere near our trails, does not hook to our trails. What a great thing for the kids. Many of those kids don't get an opportunity to, as much out in the nature as that is, to do that at all. So we said, go for it. And they put a nice little interpretive trail in. The new director, the old director have been always very communicative with us. So that piece has worked with a committee or not. Basically, we operate under, if there's anything outside of your current structures or your intent, you get with the Parks and Rec director, is kind of how it's operated. And usually it's very minimal stuff, for example, this one.
And they have to maintain their buildings. right?
100%, that's listed. We wouldn't change that. They pay for the repairs. It's pretty straightforward. I think the committee piece needs to go away. It needs to be whittled down to the two of us. I think we need to address the water piece. Other than that, it's pretty light reading. There's not real in depth.
It's just really a front and back page, Gage, and a signature
Yeah,
page.
2.5
Signed
pages.
by Leland Birmingham, who was
Easy to me.
probably there when you were in high school,
He came across
Yeah.
the Delaware with Washington.
and Doug Hurst. You might know
Yeah.
Doug too.
I do know Doug, yep.
Do you guys have any interest, needs, have heard of any issues that you would like us to also address in this time period?
Leanne, you good?
I don't.
None for me.
Any
Always
questions?
good.
I just need to know if you want this renewed and if there should be a cost associated with it, any rental fee or charges to the school district aside from the water.
And there's a $1 a year,
$1,
Yeah.
A lease for $1 a year.
which I'm not sure we've ever gotten either, but.
No, that's just a thing on
The
paper.
realistic.
They've
It's not
been-
for a consideration.
They've been maintaining the building though, right?
Very well. Actually, they've done some nice additions to it. They've even partnered with Ogden Nordic over the year to help store in the off season one of their pieces of equipment underneath one of their buildings. So it's been well. Ogden Nordic, they grew Mars. They also cut off and do a little piece of theirs. So the school kids, and they have some stuff for the kids to do, and they do a little piece of theirs at no charge and then come back. So they've been really a good partner, I think, with all the parties up there. But I do think moving into the future, it's a big piece of ground. It's valuable ground, as is the park. We just need to make sure that we're protected in what we do, and
The new agreement won't be for 50 years. It'll be 5 to 10 year max, and it'll have an option for the county to terminate it at any point.
That's your recommendation.
Yes, it will be in print, and if you want to change that, come talk to me.
It's a good record.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just you want that out, just in case.
Liam,
Commissioner Froer, what questions do you have on this? This is up your neck of the woods.
Well, I think it makes sense. I think the main issue, I think Todd brought up, we ought to find out what water source that is and then come make sure that's in the agreement. And then did we say it's a 5 or 10 year, not a 50 year? Is that correct? Did I hear that right?
Correct. Well, it
Yeah.
will be a 5 or 10 year. Right now, the 50 years expiring.
Right. Yeah. I think just in the interest of future commissions, I think 5 to 10 is more than adequate. If it continues down to be well run, then 50 years could easily go by, but I think
Now, the other thing, Weber School District does have this environmental center on their website, just for information purposes, but they do rent it out for a fee to non-school district parties to come and use. So
Yeah.
that is why I do ask if there should, or if you would want to have any sort of rental fee associated with this, because they make $400 per rental for this center.
Well, that's cheap.
I'd probably just make sure that they take on all liability.
All liability.
And there is quite a
Yep.
good paragraph about it that's quite outdated, but Liam's good at expounding on the
We'll make it.
stuff and make it look good. No, he's-
Yeah, I agree with that.
Concern too, I don't know that we necessarily wanna collect any of these fees where they care for the property, you know, and they, I don't know.
And theoretically, it's our same user base.
Yeah, it's not, I doubt it's worth the effort.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To try to gouge them for that little amount, I don't know.
For me, the liability would be much better to have, just have it
Yeah,
be their own
yeah.
thing. Cause if someone comes and, you know. gets
Yeah,
voted
let's
on-
let's just make sure the liability portion protects us. So in any of those rentals have issues, they don't come looking for the Weber County owner of that ground to back them up. That's
And
far
also
more important.
fire. Agreed, Commissioner. Fires or anything like that, spread or anything like that, they take on
Don't hit me, but is there
I
anything
can
with
reach you.
the Weaver State, I mean, the school district that we're working on separately that we could use some leverage?
Well, that was brought up too. And that is, you guys leverage whatever you need to do.
don't
Yeah,
know if
I
we
would
have
not
any
know that.
open Agreements or any other,
We're bringing it to you, and
we could get them to comply with all our planning desires.
I'm sure this will lock at it for you. A lot of weight right here, baby.
Yeah.
But I just have given you a heads up on our partnerships, and they have been very good to work with, and really have never felt like they've stepped outside of their lane.
I mean, we never even know they're there. Hardly.
Yeah, it's
it's because it's a different group. than-
Yeah, it's a different road that goes in.
yeah, and
it's-
Parks and Rec, well, 4 or 5 times a year, talk with their director on something they need, or, and there's been problems back and forth, and, we've lended a hand, and nothing big and stuff that was normal, so. When our tractor broke down with the plow up there, they brought theirs over into the parking lot for a weekend for Ogden Nordic, so it's been a pretty good back and forth. So.
School district has always been good to work with on everything. and never thought
That's what
it
you
was
told me
wrong.
when I sent
Yeah.
this to you, so. Okay.
Would it, I mean, we would be allowed to go in and use it ourselves if we wanted to, the facility in the building, would we?
No.
I don't think we have, we could write that in there.
Was there?
I think we should.
That would-
The thing is,
I would think that would change some of the liability stuff, but,
Well,
because now we're more than just, keeping them by themselves.
if we would put it in there, we were responsible for our own acts, so we went in there. I just don't know if we have any county events or something. to be able
That's what I'm
to
saying.
use that, or Send the daycare kids up there.
Learn Little field trip.
Yeah.
Our departments.
That's what you do, maybe you
Team
just-
building overnighter.
make them
Why
do
not?
this when you want them to.
I think it's a cool deal.
Okay, any other questions?
None for me.
None for me, Mr. Chair.
I think, let's get to work on some of those ideas you've got and bring that back to us.
Okay. You want us to send it a draft over to school district, see how they react, or you want to see the updated?
I'd like to see an update before we send it to the school district.
Okay, can do.
Wouldn't you, Commissioner? Yeah, that's before.
Yes,
we-
good idea.
If you can make it look like this, that's a bonus.
Okay, excellent. No promises.
Hey, we were pretty happy we found it.
Found it, I
That's
bet.
not the first 50-year we've done in North Fork, is it?
Pigeon.
My childhood though.
Now it's,
The water stuff.
I was digging through some binders, I'm like, oh. I pulled, it was years, like 5 years ago, I pulled that thing out, and I'm like, I have not seen this before, so. I think actually I found it when we first started dealing with water, is when I found this one trying to dig through
Okay.
old North Fork stuff, yeah. So,
All right, there you go.
Okay.
and thank you again, Commissioner, for Puck Drop, that was great,
Great.
it was a great crowd, great win.
Did she do it
She did
properly?
great. And the
Held
new
it up?
speakers, her voice was as clear as
You
day.
know what? when I went back and sat down, my cousin's son, who was sitting by us, plays hockey, he goes, the kid dropped it better than you did.
Oh.
I go, well, he probably plays hockey, so.
He did the little splat. I was like, "Hmm." No, it was, we were standing, Marty and I were kind of standing on the other end, and the gentleman that, does their overhead, he's got a deep voice and he talks quietly. And it's very a monotone, deep voice, and we're like, they need to boost the voice up a little bit compared to like the background music. And it's all new. And then Sharon came in and it wasn't too loud, but it was clear as day. We could hear it. We're like, it's his voice. He needs to know if he's going to do it because we could understand her perfectly. And we're like, okay. You're always wondering if it's those old speakers used to bounce on the ice and it was really hard to hear, but it was
Got some
clear.
good cheers.
Yeah. Especially the Go Stangs. Yeah.
Pause for the applause.
Yeah.
Pause for the applause.
Yeah. When you said Go Mustangs there, then it was really good.
Good. Thank you for accommodating it. All right, we'll continue on.
Commissioners.
I'll then entertain a motion to saunter until 3 o'clock.
So moved.
So I'll
Second.
second that, all in favor?
Thanks, Chris.
Aye. Gage, we'll come back to you at 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. I'll look forward to it.
I got to the point where I was kind of fighting the inevitable.
It's okay. It's a good look on you.
Not appreciate it.
Welcome.
Trying.
Well, I'll take a motion to cease to saunter.
So moved.
Second, all in favor? Aye, we're gonna cease
Aye.
to saunter. Thank you. We welcomed Gage Froer online with us here.
Awesome.
He won't be showing his face, but he is online with us. We've got Derek Palmer from the trust here, Chris Crockett, Emily Wild, Carrie Crowley with us. Thank you for being here, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead, and I'm gonna have Emily, I'm gonna have you lead out, and then you can turn the time over to Darren as you see fit.
Well, I'm gonna turn the time over now, cause I'm not quite sure what.
You don't know exactly what's
Emily's
happening?
here as an HR rep.
I don't know exactly what we're talking about here, except for workers' comp, so.
Go ahead.
Cool.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Darren.
I'm excited to be here. I'm Darren. I work for Utah Local Governments Trust. It sounds like you guys are somewhat new to who we might be. These guys are all fairly familiar with what the trust does. I'll make it quick based on time for you guys. We do insurance for public entities in the state of Utah only. So we're or what you call a public agency insurance mutual. So we're nonprofit. We only do cities and towns, counties, and special service districts. So we do general liability, property, auto, and we also do workers' compensation. And then we also broker medical as well for public entities. So I'm an insurance agent, but I'm a public entity employee as well. I'm part of URS. So it's a little bit different that way. I don't know how familiar you are with USIP, but we're essentially the same type of organization as USIP, other than we do all public entities versus just counties. So,
Okay.
So last year we had the opportunity to present a proposal to the county. I'll show you that. I brought that with me. I'll show you it briefly and then just discuss with you a little bit and everyone else, how the trust might benefit the county, from all perspectives, not just from a premium perspective, but from a long-term service perspective, a training perspective, and all of the above. So I'll open that up. Hopefully you can see it on my little iPad. But so this is what we proposed last year. Hopefully everybody can see that.
Sure.
So basically the trust, what we have is a team assigned to all of our members. So I cover Weber County. I live in Far West. I also cover Summit County. I cover Uinta County and down in the southeastern corridor of the state. So like Carbon County, Emory County, Grand County, San Juan County, all that jazz. But basically what you have is you have a team that's assigned to, you have a person that's a part of member services that deals with just day-to-day interactions. With workers' compensation, they wouldn't be terribly involved. I'd be more involved with that, but they do a lot on the property casualty side. So like general liability claims, auto, property. With claims, you would have a direct representative at the trust that's assigned to you, assigned to the county for any claims. Like maybe it's something that might be coming up. It might be something that you feel like happened that was a red flag that you don't feel happened at work, that maybe it happened outside of work and they're claiming it happened here. But Jeff is, he's very solid. Jeff's works at Salt Lake County. He worked at Salt Lake City as a risk manager. So he's very, very good at what he does. And then Jason Watterson does loss prevention. So he would be specific to you with regard to any training that you need potentially here on site or even just over the internet. So I showed them that this last year. This is, I titled it by members for members because really it's a partnership. It's not really just an insurance product. It's really being a part of 650 other members across the state. These are some of the counties that we currently insure, just so you know. We have Utah County, Summit County, Cache County, Carbon County, Grand County, Tooele County, Emory County, and Wasatch. I will make it known that Emory County and Wasatch County are insured through the trust only for workers' compensation. and they love it. There's no intention of gathering the other lines of business, but we have worked together on workers' compensation for a lot of years, for a couple decades. And you're more than welcome to call them. You know, you can call Mary at Emory County and chat with Mary. She'd love to tell you kind of her perspective on just having workers' compensation through the trust and the other lines of insurance through USO. One thing that I would make known that maybe isn't known is workers' compensation. When you have a claim, you work with workers' compensation. That's who you work with, right? And so I want that to be everyone well aware of. It's not USIP that covers workers' compensation. It's workers' compensation fund. So there's a drastic difference between the two, and I think that's really important to understand. So, any questions on that?
No.
Okay, cool. I will send this to you so you can see it, but this is an abundance of trainings that we offer our membership. And probably half of these pertain to HR with workers' compensation. Now, it wouldn't just be limited to those trainings. If the county came over on workers' compensation, you could take advantage of any trainings. Now, I will tell you, that's one thing that Mary loves at Emory County. She could take advantage of both sides, and that's something that she really enjoys. So a lot of trainings that Mary attends at Emory County have to do with general liability property battle. But we love it, and it's a good partnership. So I'll send this to you so you can see it, but these are really valuable, from HR summits to wrongful termination to reasonable suspicion to workers' compensation to E-mods to you name it, we do it. And the other thing that we have is we have like a different resource called Treliant that has thousands of trainings that are all online. So if you felt like a department needed a specific training to them, then you could assign that department a training. And it could be anything, from HR related to streets and roads to you name it, sheriff, any level of training, it's available to you. That's one thing we're super proud of at the trust. This is what I showed the county last year. And I will tell you that this would probably be even a larger savings this year. So last year when we quoted it, we were 30% less. So we would have saved the county about $170,000 on one line of insurance, right? So it's important to realize, like I was mentioning that we gave another county a quote recently. That last year their savings was about 30% as well. And this year it was about 48%. And so it's bigger. Now you might ask, well, how does that happen? How does it go from, 30% or 35% to 48%? And there was a couple of factors, and you'll be well aware of this, but there's two factors in workers' compensation that really press premium. One is your EMOD, and one is your payroll, right? So those are your two factors that really push premium. Now, this county's EMOD went up a little bit, and their payroll went up a little bit, which was okay. But the real differentiator in workers' compensation between us and workers' compensation fund is what's called a loss cost multiplier. Now, this is insurance terms and it's hard to understand, but it's basically your credit score as a carrier. Now, WCF insures anyone and everyone, right? Contractors, swimming pools, to private business, to restaurants. They insure it all. Now, their loss cost multiplier is impacted by that because their losses are different. We have more stable control on our loss cost multiplier because we only insure public entities.
You don't insure any of the others then.
Meaning,
You only insure public entities.
that's it.
Okay.
Yep. No private sector at all. Yeah. So it's easier for us to manage that pool, right? So our loss cost multiplier becomes much more efficient than WCF's. A lot of people might say, hey, you're just buying business. Well, the reality is we're not, because we're not giving that much discounting to the county. In fact, last year we didn't give one dime. We didn't discount the premium one penny, and we still would have saved the county 30%.
Now you can, right? That's one of the factors that also goes from an E-mod to payroll. Is there's a discounting measure. Workers' compensation fund probably has 13 tiers of discounting. Okay, so there is that artificial discounting is what the trust calls it, but we don't really live by that. So last year on this premium quote, it was bare bones. E-mod payroll rates. That's it. So I come to really just emphasize this year in hopes that a couple of things. One, I want the county to understand that the trust is not here to foul up a relationship with USIP. That's not why I'm here. And I hope everyone in this room knows that, because that's not my intent. I don't make a commission off of coming here and selling business. But if it's right for Weber County, right, and right for your constituents, I think it's important to look at. That's why I'm here, right? And so what I would say is ultimately at the end of the day, understand that, number one, and then understand too, that WCF and USIP are two separate components. They're not the same entity. They're totally different.
We understand that.
And I think that's important to know because a lot of counties are pretty, I understand they're tight knit, right? You're tight knit, Gage is tight knit with Johnny, and that's okay. We're tight knit with our members as well. But I think it's important to understand that when push comes to shove, right? Training and resources and taking care of your employees is number one. That's number one. Number two is premium, right? So number one is keeping people safe, having them go home to their families at night, a good solid work environment. Number two is how can we actually be responsible, right? So that's why I'm here. My hope is that we potentially could give the county another quote this year and work through that a little bit more to see if it's beneficial for the county this year as well. And really ultimately what might be obstacles that would impede you from doing that. So I don't know what your experience is with workers' compensation fund. It's sporadic across the state for members. Some people love workers' compensation fund. Some people just have had a real struggle with it. So I don't know what yours are. And then we can address some questions or concerns or thoughts based on what I have here. And she has this presentation, and I think Chris does. And then who was the other gentleman? Finance director?
It might have
Oh,
been
it was Park.
Scott.
Scott Park.
Yeah, so he has it as well, but I'll send it to everybody again. But I just wanted to kind of visit about that, see what your guys' thoughts are, what we might do. Things that you might need assistance with or could pinpoint that maybe we could help you with as well. But anyway, that's what I have. Just kind of open it up for a visit.
Great, Commissioner Bolos.
Hey, Commissioner Flores showed his face.
Yeah, he did.
You said he wasn't.
Look at that.
He's in
He's-
Mesquite.
Well, he's a little north of there, but that's okay.
Yeah, one question. I know Commissioner Harp, we talked about this at our staff meeting. He was talking about a switch over and a discounted rate for the first few years and then increasing rates. Then you mentioned, Darren, that that what you've saved with those other counties, or what you could save with us, or those other counties, I guess, is just those two factors, no discount. So will you speak to that? Sorry, that's your concern,
No.
but I brought it up.
No, I'm glad. Go ahead.
No, I appreciate that because historically that's something that comes up, right? It comes up with people who are potentially shopping, our members shopping, right? So they go to other carriers and potentially look, and that carrier could easily just discount artificially by business and then incrementally over the next 3 to 5 years boost it back up. Happens all the time. So it's a real concern. This quote that we gave the county last year was with no discounting. $0. So there wasn't 1 penny discounted last year. It's still 30%. Now, it could have been 45% if we had given them 15% discounting, which is not abnormal in the market to buy business. But there was not 1 penny of discounting. So that concern is valid and it happens all the time. But in this circumstance, it was not there. And it still isn't. With the other two counties that I gave workers' compensation quotes to last year, the most discounting we gave was 5%. That's it. And it was still 30% less. Every county we quoted last year was 30% less. Now, I'll ask you, how many do you think came over last year?
Why don't you tell us? 0.
Not one. And that's 3 counties that had over 30% discounting, they didn't come. 2 wanted to, 2 submitted their desire to leave, but there was some things that happened that they weren't allowed to based upon some internal policies that USIP has. And that's,
I don't
We
mind
discussed
getting
that
the
another
price.
day.
Sage, you have any? I guess I'll go back to you, Commissioner Bolos first. Commissioner Bolos, do you have any problem at least getting a price
No, I
on
don't
this?
have a problem getting a price, but yeah, if it's a formal quote, then I would like it to address the no discount, which would address your concern
Yeah,
of increases.
yeah, we can spell all of that out. Yeah, we
That's
can show
all.
rate, net rates, discounting, no discounting, all, you can show it all.
That's
no
all.
problem.
Commissioner Faur?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Quick question, if I might. So I appreciate the presentation here. I guess I would like to know, I mean, I'm a little familiar with workman's comp from previous experience. You know, and I think you hit it on the head. They look at payroll and they look at losses that took place. How are you able to do a 30% discount when workman's comp is the actual one that's making a decision? So, and I understand about the discounts very well, but you're saying there's no discounts. So how would you then justify, or how can you continue a 30% premium reduction over USIP or anyone else with no discounts, and knowing that whether it's USIP or whether it's the trust, the payroll will be the same, our losses will be the same. They don't change. So something has to change or take place within the trust to offer that 30% discount. And I guess I would say, and I'm okay with a quote, but I'd also like assurance that that quote, you know, is valid for a period of 5-10 years, whatever it is. I've heard too many stories that, you know, again, I know what it is to buy business. I would be remiss if we sold our business and then 2 years from now, we're not at a 30% discount, we're at a 30% premium. So can you address that?
Yeah, you bet. I think what you're saying is okay. So a couple of things, workers' compensation fund and the trust, obviously, are 2 totally separate entities, right? Workers' compensation fund and the trust, we both receive our rates from what's called the NCCI. The NCCI is a National Council on Compensation Insurance. They distribute rates specifically to Utah. Okay, those rates come out every fall, and everybody that offers workers' compensation in Utah abides by those rates. So rates are out of the question. Okay, now you'd say, well, if everybody plays by the same rates, how in the world do you get 30% less than workers' compensation fund? The difference is what I explained earlier is that loss cost multiplier. Every carrier, based upon how well you manage business and how well you manage claims and how well you prevent losses, has a loss cost multiplier. The better you are, the better your loss cost multiplier is, the less your pay is. So basically, what it comes down to, the difference in how we get that is not by discounting, because I didn't discount at 1 penny. It comes down to the loss cost multiplier and us being healthier than workers' compensation fund is. And that's it. That's how you get to 30% less. Now, your concern is valid when you say, hey, I'm worried that we're going to potentially off our business for this 30% discount. There's no discount. That would be a valid concern if I came in here and gave you a quote for 30% less, but I was discounted by 25%. Okay, that's valid, but there is no discounting. It's dollar for dollar, EMOD for EMOD, payroll rate, all of the above. The difference is a loss cost multiplier. That's it. That's the only difference. That's where the 30% comes into play. Now, I will tell you that the Commissioner, the difficulty with what you said with regard to guaranteed rates on workers' compensation is that's impossible. Because it's a statutory coverage. It's not, we don't place those rates. The NCCI does. We could guarantee you that we would never surcharge you or discount you more than X amount. But generally speaking, we don't control your payroll. Your payroll goes up or it might go down. If it goes down, you pay less. If it goes up, you pay more. That's the same with workers' compensation fund, right? If your EMOD goes up, you pay more at workers' compensation fund. If your EMOD goes down, you pay less. So those are all statutorily run. There's no difference in those categories between the trust and workers' compensation fund. Those are all statutory. So they're the exact same. But when you have a carrier to a carrier and a carrier is much more healthy on one side of the fence than the other, then the rate and the premium become much less. That's where you're gaining your 30%. It is not by discounting. And I'll state that at 10,000 times over, we didn't discount it at all. It simply comes back to how healthy we are as a carrier versus how healthy workers' compensation fund is. That's it. And because of that, we're able to provide it at that much less. So hopefully that answers your question.
Well, and you also, though, you also don't, or you're just providing it to public entities, that also's gotta be.
That's a huge differentiator. We don't do contractors. We don't do, private business with restaurants and bars and all of the above. And that's a big deal. That's a big differentiator for sure.
Sure. Emily, Carrie, what, questions do you have?
Are we talking only workers' comp?
That, in my mind, that's what I'm thinking.
Yes, that's it.
Okay, because the other, as far as like, you mentioned a medical side, but we already went out for RFP a couple years ago. We're happy with our broker. I don't want to change that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, this is workers' compensation only. Yeah, when I mentioned broker, that's just what we do. We have multiple things that we do. So yeah, no, this is just strictly to workers' compensation. That's it. So.
and this would not be splitting off with Yusuf and Johnny Miller, right? It would be what?
So there's two separate types of coverage. There's the liability portion, which is under USIP. USIP contracts with WCF, so it's two separate things, but USIP manages. It goes through USIP. They bill us for it,
Okay.
for workers' comp. So they have their contract with WCF.
They do have a contract through WCF, but your payment, your bills actually come from workers' compensation fund. They don't come from USIP, they come from workers' compensation.
Yeah.
That's who bills you.
Okay. I mean, we do have a lot of like trainings and stuff that we utilize with Johnny Miller all the time. So
And those things would all still
they would all
be
stay.
available.
Still the same, yeah, it's just the workers' compensation portion of the insurance.
Okay.
Cause that's a totally separate deal, right? That's a totally separate. So this is just, we're just talking workers' comp, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you could work with, Carrie, do you have any questions?
Do you do any dividends like at each year that people see?
Yeah, so workers' compensation fund does dividends, like they'll give money back, based upon performance or whatever they gauge it on that year. The trust has a multiplicity of programs with regards to, we don't call it dividends, we call it loss prevention, we call it measures with regard to discounting on performance, right? So if you participate in our trust accountability program or our trust integrity program, then there is the ability to get discounting from your premiums. So a direct dividend, the trust historically has provided dividends to our members. We haven't done for about 4 years, but we give 5% of your general liability premium back or 5% of your workers' compensation premium back, just based upon performance and how you actually participate in the programs. So it's not technically a dividend, it's more of a discount measure of 5%. So.
I don't have any further questions right now.
I think, yeah, I wouldn't mind at least getting the price, Darren. I think you'd be okay to you work that out, you'd work that out with our human resources, these two represent that, we'll be able to do that.
Commissioner Farrar, if I could ask you a question, is there anything that would concern you or kind of make you feel uneasy about it outside of the question you ask? Where you're not here or anybody else here? I mean, the one thing that I would just, I mean, cause we gave the county a quote last year. And
For workers' comp?
Yeah, for workers' comp. And I just wonder, I don't wanna have those same concerns maybe stay here or arise where you've taken time to have me come. You know, and we get another quote and those same things are still laying out there that are concerns. And we get to that point and it just kind of passes us again. So if I may, if there's concerns, if there's, you know, things that maybe make you feel uneasy about the process, I would love to address those now. And if not, man, you can call me anytime or shoot me an email or whatever's best for you.
Well, that's a legitimate question. I guess what it comes down for me is I just need to, you know, I understand basically you're saying your book of business because of your loss ratio is better than USIP, so that's the reason that you can give a better rate than we're getting from when you say a 30% discount, I'm assuming you know what we're paying now to USIP. You know, again, we pay it to USIP pays it to workman's comp. So we understand very clearly it's two separate. So I guess I just need to understand that. And that's a discussion I can have. You know, I don't doubt what you're saying. The other factor that I need to look at is what impact, if we did go this way, what would that have to do? Because, you know, we're the largest county-wise, we're the largest equity holder of the counties in USIP. I would just want to make sure that we know what, if we were to change book of business for workman's comp, how would that impact our equity, if any? And I'm not sure it does, but I don't want to get into this and then find out that we lose, you know, 500,000 in equity that we have in that. And I think between Chris and I sit on that board in the notice of disclosure. So we can check into it. I think, you know, my thought has always been what's best for Weber County and the taxpayers for Weber County. We don't want to pay more. At the same time, I'm not willing to make a mistake for a short-term gain for a long-term loss. So that's going to be my concern, or at least those are the questions I'm going to have.
That answer your question, Darren?
Yeah.
Right. So there you go. We'll just have to find that out. So.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
No.
Go. All right. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate you letting me come.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Uh,
Aye.
We stand adjourned. Thanks for joining us down there, Gage.
Hey,
Bob wants you to call him, by the way.
I'll call him.